You know what I mean? So
Right. Very
yeah,
true.
just a simple rundown.
So so let explain that name for a second because I had a couple people the two cups and the plug. Where did that come from?
Basically, it was representing me bringing two worlds together and just being a plug in the middle of it, so to speak. You know, which is why I'm out here right now. You know, the daytime, the nighttime, plugging them in together. With the midday and the midnight being the plug itself,
Mm,
literally. So it's very symbolic. But the reason that like why I chose two cups to plug when I did, there was, you know, the big sweep going on, the epidemic where the two cups, you know, everybody was having two cups and the lean and the, you know what I'm saying, certain things in
right,
their cups
right.
or whatever. So now people are basically comparing the two to where as soon as you see these two cups, you automatically see, you know what I'm saying, drug addict. You know, there's nothing we could be doing with these. So it was just taking a negative at a perfect opportunity and turning it into a positive by using it during a time where, as you're trying to disseminate and get information to people, a lot of people want to be entertained. They don't want to feel like it's school. They don't want to feel like they're learning. They don't want to feel like these certain things. So just implementing a part of who I am, and that was just more so bringing me to the forefront. You know, instead of just trying to be, you know, most people would think I was being a character, but really that's actually me. You know what I'm saying? Instead of trying to be one person, like a lot of us try to be, it was really just being exactly how I've been throughout middle school, high school, elementary school, just keeping up the same exact thing, which is trying to establish something natural through something natural.
Right.
So it's a lot of me. I mean, I can go. It's omniversal with it. I can give you a million different meanings, but that's just the original thought that came to mind and the original vision and view that came to mind when I came up with two cups to plug. Just trying to turn a negative into a positive. And I needed something to put my water in because I didn't want to have water bottles in the video because our people like promoting everything but what we present to them. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
So
That's the truth. You know, so and you're right about that, and I think you do a well job. I think you do a job well done when it comes to bridging both worlds because I think all worlds. You know, when I was first introduced to you several years ago, I was just putting little memes out there, factual information and stuff like that. And I fell upon one of your videos, and I was like, "Yo, this brother, like the way he talking is like." I connect with it. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't consider myself to be a Moor at that time, but I was like, yo, you know, the way that he's talking, like it's making a lot of sense. And with
right.
even the studies that I'm dealing with as far as African spirituality, I said it's like it's connecting. It's like the same thing, but you know, it's not the same thing, but it is. And I said, you know, I'm feeling a connection with this guy. I was like, let me tag him real quick and see what's going on, see what's up, see if I can link with him. You know, and I've been watching you from afar for a long time, and there's not a lot of people that I can sit back and actually say like, you know, I actually learned something and it helped me connect some dots. You know, so you're one of the guys that I heavily admire in the conscious community. I consider the conscious community or whatever you want to call it, but the enlightened ones, you're one of the guys that I heavily admire in your work ethic, and how you do things, not just on camera but off camera. And the reason why I could tell you doing a lot off camera because the stuff you bring on camera can't be done unless you sit in a
Bingo.
in a
Bingo.
for a specific amount of time. Because you know what I mean. Like if you really put in this work, you know when somebody's putting in that work, you can tell. And
Right.
it's thorough. You know what I'm saying. So what I want you to do, if you can, break down the moon Mayan concept. You know, and what that's about in a nutshell from the beginning. 101.
Okay, now just to simplify it in earth terms, Moam men. Moam men.
Amen.
Now, what we did was basically saw the issue that was going on today, right? I noticed a bunch of people that look the same to me. You know, regardless of what's coming out of our brain, we all look the same. So there must be something else a little deeper than that. So just throughout my lifetime, I've been to many different walks coming throughout Christianity, of course. Uh, not just necessarily Christianity, but going through the different movements and what they would consider schools of thoughts, or what you would consider organizations, or what some may consider tribes, or what some may consider nations, or no matter what type of spell you put on it, it's the same thing, and people are choosing to do the same things in so many different forms. So me seeing that there's a gap to where, okay, this English language is actually what's causing the division. It's not the this, it's not the that, it's not what we call ourselves differently, because I can call myself something completely different than you, but carry myself the exact same way.
Facts.
You get my drift?
Absolutely.
So that has something to do with spirit into what it was that we always have been into. And this is after I finally unlocked my brain, after I finally reset myself, because I didn't want nothing in the middle of none of us. So when I first came out, I came out with no books. When I first came out, I used no other material but the material that the creator gave to me,
Facts.
literally, because that's one thing that I know we all could use. You know, everybody don't have the, you know, I when I first started, most people don't even know I'm sitting around smoking cigarettes, drinking Red Bull.
Mhm.
Listen, life is
Mhm.
real. People
Right.
don't understand that you don't need all of this extra equipment just to see out of space.
Talk
You
about
don't
it.
need to leave your hood just to travel. You don't need to go here to see this or see that. It really was a matter of me eliminating all of my possessions
Mhm.
and creating something that does not describe us in any physical attributative like form. And yes, I said attributative. For those that don't know, I don't respect English.
Mhm.
It's a language that hidden and colonized every language that we have. So you might hear a few words in this dialogue, as they call it, that you might not have heard before, but I guarantee you still understand exactly what I am saying. And that's all I'm looking forward to, is the understanding. Uh,
Facts.
so I wanted to create something to where, even if, because like growing up, you know, you got gang members, I got blood members, that's cool. I got Crip dudes, that's cool. GD, I didn't see the difference. You know what I'm saying? I didn't let the colors divide me. I didn't let the organization. Not saying all of them are pushing that. I wanted to create something that bridges the gap between left brain and right brain. I wanted to
Mhm.
create something that does not eliminate what you are, it actually enhances what you are. I wanted to create something that actually exists, yet it doesn't exist. To whereas I call myself a Mohammedan, but it's actually something I utilize to keep myself free. It's a literal term of staying and remaining free. To where when I was in the Hebrew community, I met a lot of Israelites I respected and loved. And guess what? Met a lot of dirty, grimy ones. Same with the Moor community. Same with the African community. Same with my own community. Same with my own family. You get my, this is not a physical issue. This is something that we was having spiritually. So with that being said, I saw a problem, man, and I tackled it like we supposed to do. We family. I didn't I didn't I didn't want to dig up dirt and try to do something with it. I just wanted to lay new dirt on top of the dirt that's already there, so everybody could be what they are, comfortable. Because, like you said, we all saying the same things on different levels. So what we did was created those different levels so we could start to really understand. Because what's breaking us apart is the communication, the language, and the way we treating each other. So we
Right.
simply took the time to see, which is using our eyes, hear, which is using our ears. And I wanted to honor all of my ancestors. I didn't just want to honor the ones I could see the records of. I wanted to honor the ones I couldn't see the records of also. That's how I paired both visions. I didn't want to
Right.
just hear about the ones that did leave works behind. I wanted to hear about the ones that didn't leave works behind. That's why I paired my hearing. I didn't want to just feel the people that are complaining here and now, because everyone here doesn't exist. I wanted to feel the people that will always exist, regardless of what time we are in. So the Mohammedan is just a representation of that, to where you can still be what you are, but hey, and it's not something you can necessarily join or unbecome. It is a being within itself. Is if you keep these principles and the morals and you really carry this spirit, you're a Mohammedan. The moment you don't, you not. I ain't gonna be here to kick you out or bring you back in. I'm gonna be gone soon. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I gotta go back home and do my dope. You know what I'm saying? But that's just so we created something for everybody, even though it's technically not for everybody. So Mohammedan kind of means everything. When I'm in front of a Christian brother, I want to be able to respect that Christian brother, but not just respect him. I want to be a better Christian than that Christian. You get what I'm saying? I
Mhm.
want to see if he really about that life. You know what I'm saying? You know,
Yeah.
if I'm around this person, that person, and it doesn't matter what color, what complexion, what this, I wanted to bring the creator's world back together, and that's exactly what we did. Because we didn't create this, so I'm not going to let nobody destroy this. And I'm thankful for brothers like you and everybody else. Because if you think you didn't play a part, you played a part. If you
Wow.
didn't think you wasn't a major part, you was a major part. And it was just by being. Imagine that.
Right.
Nothing extra. Just by being, you did enough. And
Right.
and ironically, our minds have been so tortured that we got to sit down and have a long ass conversation with everybody we build with just to explain it to them. Like, you've done enough, even though it seems like they haven't done anything. That's because we're not aware of what we have already done. You see what
Right.
I mean?
Right.
So I just wanted to bridge a gap, man. Like I said, I heard the confusions, I heard everything, and I was scared at first, because all my information came from me, but you in a community where people want sources, right? Resources, right? You gotta have
Right. Right.
resources. So
Right.
when did we not
Right.
become resources? You get my drift? If I just
Yeah.
told you my experience, I'm the source. No one else
Right.
can verify that but me. The only person that can verify that is you through experience. So I just wanted to make sure we had something as
The
an
program.
experience, because there's so many orders out here and so many different things. And we wanted to get the families back together. We wanted to get the schools back together. We wanted to get everything back together properly, because we know that as one world falls, this world not going nowhere. We still got to have something in place. So even if grown ass people want to act like children, even if grown people want to tear this world up, even if grown people want to sit around and do that, we not
Right.
about to let these children fall like that. You get my
Facts.
drift?
Yeah.
So it's just something to bridge everybody together, man. At the end of the day, that's all.
So
And it's. I'll go ahead.
I heard you mention like in the beginning, that your process was a bit different. You know what I'm saying? So you were drinking Red Bulls and stuff like that. What was your process like your awakening? Like what was that defining moment that led you to this thought process, to the spiritual
Okay,
connection?
it's it was kind of like an awakening of an awakening. Uh, a lot of us think we was here to awaken, but the thing is, you was awakened the moment you was born. A lot of us was not awakened to the fact that we were awakened the moment we were born. You get my drift?
Right.
So that is something that happens throughout levels. That's another reason why I indulge in sacred geometry as much as I do, because it can help explain the different levels and vibrations and where we're supposed to be at and where we're not supposed to be at. So this is something that has always been. This is nothing that at first when I came out, I did try to put a spot on it. And I said I started when I was 9, and it's like I was getting my story together, but really I didn't even know my own story. Like, my story was already together. I kind of just had to go back and
Yeah.
look, and it kind of never started and it kind of never ended. You know
Right.
what I mean? I just had times where I seen and times where I didn't see. Times where I was paying attention to what I seen, and times where I wasn't paying attention. And the same goes for everybody. That is the same truth for everybody,
Yeah.
regardless of how they feel or not.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. And I think that the key part of that is that, when you were born, you were already awakening because
Already.
yeah, because I remember when it first happened to me, like I was just like, yo, like one of the main things that happened to me is I was able to go back to my first remembrance, like my first conscious moment
Mhm.
in life. And I was able to retain that information even up until now and all the things that I had went through. And I was just like, wow, like all that stuff was sitting in like a vault somewhere, you know what I'm saying? And really I just had to go back and tap into it.
And you're
Um,
the only one that can get back to it.
yeah, I mean, I want to get back to it, like fact. So let's talk about and one of the things. Well, you did mention sacred geometry. Let's talk about that a little bit because that was like for me, it really helped me to default my brain back to its like to its default operating system. Can you explain sacred geometry for the people?
Yeah, basically, to us, sacred geometry is everything. Uh, we don't limit what sacred geometry is only based on the simple fact sacred geometry is not limited within itself. We have been able to use sacred geometry. Now, mind you, when we say sacred geometry, we're not talking about the spells other cultures have put on it, because we know our ancestors used these same symbolisms back then. You get my drift? And
Right.
out of using the symbolisms, developed the language. So that's what I try to help people understand, where our language came from. It didn't come from a man nor a woman. It came through sacred geometry, as every other language developed. So we're technically speaking the same language, and there's a way to bridge a gap from the original language ever spoken to whatever languages we still have any record of to this day, and to be able to bring that mind together, because we do have a brain that's capable of understanding all languages. It's not limited to one languages nor just spoken languages. Sacred geometry revealed a whole lot of things to me the more I just sat there and watched it, understood it, and I learned how to use it through math. It has helped me advance people who might have trouble in math areas. It has helped me advance people who might have trouble in science areas. It has helped me advance people who might have trouble in historical areas. It has helped me advance people in areas where family comes into play, nation comes into play, neighborhood comes into play, any and everything. Look, it's so much about sacred geometry. That's why I started doing the private courses and everything, is we're writing books for it. I didn't want people to be missing out because the information was just coming straight through me. You know,
Right.
we use sacred geometry to prove how our body was made. So, you know, that within itself is proof that we're all sacred, because we all come from sacred geometry and it can be proven. You know,
Mm,
we use it to help people understand why their body is the way it is. So we don't have imbalances going on to where you might have people with a natural heavy set body, but
right.
they don't know it's a natural heavy set until they try to start losing weight. Then their body rejects it and actually gains weight. But
Mm,
then you have people on the other side where they're trying to possibly gain weight because they're slim, but then they can't get, you know what I'm saying? They might get
right.
slimmer or more. It actually brings a nature to us that we have been missing for so long.
Right.
And it is the reason why we ran the world at a point in time. And by the world, I don't mean everybody else's world. I mean the world within us, because it shows us what
Right.
makes up our brain. It shows us what makes up our heart. It shows us what makes up the planet. I use that to teach people about what the planet looks like, space looks like, all the other planets that are out there, all the zodiacs, all of the things you could think about. I can use sacred geometry and not no colonizer's works, not no colonizer's spirit, not no colonizer's language. You see, we had to get rid of that. See, the separation our ancestors were talking about was never physical, because we cannot physically separate from anyone in this world. We were never physically together.
Yeah.
We're all on the same earth,
Right.
right? We can only be together in a spiritual place. So many of us are not in the same neighborhood as certain people we technically don't agree with physically, but spiritually, you sound just like them, you look just like them, you act just like them. And as they say, if it sound like a duck, act like a duck, quack like a duck, it's a duck. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And our history is amazing, you know, and I love fighting for my brothers and sisters right now.
Yeah.
You know, I love putting in that work right now. Like, what other time do I have? So I like to thank sacred geometry, because without sacred geometry, I was stupid as shit. You know,
Right.
according to their world, you know, I was stupid as shit up until I got 28 on the ACT. You know, now the people in my graduating class that was calling me crazy looking stupid, stupid. You see
Right.
what I'm saying? But they're not realizing it's stupid to base your intelligence off another man's test.
Hmm. That's a fact. That's a fact, and that's major, for our school systems. And
Yep.
how do you explain that though to like people who's been programmed to believe that that's the only way you can measure intelligence,
Hmm.
in time. One of the things that you did mention was different languages. Now, one of the things that I noticed from watching your videos, you developed your own language. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Hold on one moment. My signal, they just knocked my signal out real quick. What did you say again?
I
I
said
did.
you talked about language,
Oh,
and
yeah.
one of the things that I had noticed from watching your videos is that you developed your own language.
Hmm.
Let's talk about that.
Okay, what I did was I looked at what our ancestors did, and I noticed that if different languages can mean the same thing, like I could say love or I could say amor, and they mean the same thing, you know what I mean?
Right.
Then I also learned that within the same language, we could be speaking different languages. This is why I can say I love you and you can say you love me, but we mean two different things. You get my
Right.
drift? Because that's something that happens internally. There's an internal language that we all speak. So what I wanted to do was create a language that's from the original language that we always spoke. I felt like there was no reason why we couldn't move forward and continue using it, believe it or not. So what I actually did was, it's not that I actually developed the language. I pieced the language together from all of our languages that was already kind of together, believe it or not, in certain forms in the past, and I just brought it forward so we could just do us. It was just that simple, you know. And what I did was, because we are so different, and I respect our differences. I love New York brothers, how they, what up, son? Hey, kid, look, Joe. You know what I'm saying? Just
Yeah.
any of that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I love it. I don't want to change this. You know, I love the West Coast. Hey, cuz, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Come over here, dog. Like it, we make it seem like we make fun of each other, but
Right.
really, that's a way that we utilize to show respect to each other. Like we recognize
Absolutely.
you, we hear you, we see. You see what I'm saying? So we can't
Yeah.
be so sensitive as we move forward. So I felt like it was awkward that when you go to Africa, Nigerians speak a Nigerian language,
Right.
Egyptians speak an Egyptian language. You see what I'm saying? Somalians speak a Somalian language. But when you come here, these people that were supposedly enslaved all still speak their enslaved language. It's
Yeah.
not a problem. Yet we got 48 different states, so they say. You see?
Right.
And within those states, we got different cultures, we got different vibes, we got different words, we got different things and ways that we use to communicate with each other because we chose to make our own bonds minus what someone else did for us. So now we have a whole language where we don't even respect the definitions that they give us, but we like their words though. So we'll take that shit. Hey, G, this shit mean this now. You know what I'm saying? Like we
Yeah.
do that. So I felt like, why not do that on an intelligent scale? Why is it that we wait for them to give us words, not knowing they cast spells on us like I'm dead? I want the smoke. This, that. We don't realize these things are sacred. These things are symbolic, and what you say, you're bringing
That's
on
right.
yourself and your people. And what if we could still be hard without talking shit? You forgive my language. What if we could still be
Yeah.
hard without
No,
running our mouth and saying certain words that they choose to tell us to use or not to use? And keep in mind, our ancestors fought for one of the greatest things in this world, which is what people fight for today, and that's freedom.
yeah.
That's literally freedom, right? We have the freedom to speak whatever language we choose to. And the next thing we fought for was privacy. Because what's the point of being free if we have no privacy? So as we speak and try to develop our plans, everyone can hear us. Isn't that a problem?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a major
You
problem. I
see?
was talking about that to a couple of people. It's like everything you put on the internet, even what you say around your phone, the mic is on and it's recording
Yeah,
everything. And
yeah,
yeah, you can't
yeah.
formulate a
Look,
revolution.
we scared. People know not to talk. People know not to even talk in their own house. People know not to even talk with their own family. See, I chose to not come at because I respect all my brothers and sisters putting in work, no matter who you exposing, who you bringing out, what you're doing. I try to take the area I take. So since people was exposing to major organizations and this, that, and I'd rather take a person's word who been in it, because if I haven't been in it, I don't want to be talking about something I don't know about. I'd rather stick on something I know about. So when it came to certain things, I chose to leave it alone and realize we have our own little secret societies within our own families. So before we complain about what others are doing in their secret societies, let's make sure our secret societies, which is each and every family that's holding secrets, is set and solid. You see what I mean? Instead of holding things back, because the family, we're doing the same thing our government, not our government, but for the lack of sake of, you know what I'm saying, that their government is doing.
Right.
We're reflecting it, not knowing the government is reflecting the family. The only difference is there's organization between them. And they learned that from somewhere. So it's a science, it's a practice, it's a math. And I know that in order to break the spell, you have to break the spelling.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So and we had plenty of ancestors come before us and warn us, G, there's power in words. There's this, there's that. They tried to educate us. What about this? I just felt like finishing the deal.
Yeah.
I felt like finishing the deal. They already threw a few rocks. I felt like, fuck it. Let's knock the whole window down.
Right.
Let's see what's really behind this language. Let's see what's really going on. And lo and behold, you think it's hard to learn a language. Imagine developing one when you supposedly was a flunky in school, right? When you supposedly did horrible and didn't know nothing about language and was taught you knew nothing about language, yet something inside of you is telling me you know all about language. You've created language before. You're going to create language now. Years later, it came out, that inner relationship came out to the, as they say, forefront.
Yeah.
So it was perfect time.
I think that's what was really brilliant about your take on it, when we talk about spells and stuff like that, because I've always told people that the spell was already broken. It was broken a while ago, but people are choosing to subscribe back to it. And you took the language, you took the vibration and the frequency of sound, and you took it a whole step further and just expanded on it and put it together, to that next step. A lot of us will say what we just said, like, yeah, it's spells and stuff like that, but we don't actually take the initiative to say, okay, let's like not do that no more.
Right, like that. We keep it going. Yeah. And hold on, just to piggyback in the because I almost forgot to say, knowing that we all have a bond with this creator inside of us. So as I'm talking to you right now, you hear my words, but there's also something you hear also that even I don't hear as I speak. You
Right.
get my drift from my
Yeah.
words. So we wanted to develop a language that wasn't not only colonized, it's a language that creates and develops more languages. So as we teach our brothers and sisters, it's actually so they can just learn language and be able to use their brain on all levels and all forms, because our ancestors deal with brain waves. That's why the English is made from the alpha beta. You see, they got us on two
Right.
set brain waves when we have a whole long list and level of them. So we wanted to
Yes.
make sure we created a language that can create more languages. So as I teach even someone like you or someone else, it doesn't matter. Guess what? My language is only used to form a language of your own, yet we're still using the same formula in
Uh-huh.
language. So it's something that matches what actually goes on with us spiritually. So
Oh,
we'll still be together in New York, brothers, and still be able to have their own different language, still capable of welcoming people into their culture. The
right.
only difference is you eliminate all colonizers out when you stop claiming what they claimed our land to be. You eliminate all colonizers out when you stop claiming what they claimed our own brothers and sisters to be. You eliminate all of the colonizing out of your system. See,
Yeah.
the language and the reset is to clean your system, because what makes up the matrix? Letters and numbers.
Yes.
So if we change the letters and numbers, we change the matrix of our mind.
Yo,
Simple, you know? It
yo,
was
that's
simple.
brilliant, man. I mean, like, if y'all listening to this man and listen to what he's saying, like he's brilliant. Like the way that he's piecing this together and able to observe it to y'all is just it's unbelievable. I want you to build a little bit on the Mayan civilization, because I've always told people that my first experience with real spirituality is when I took a visit to Yucatan Peninsula. Actually, I went to Mexico, and I ended up at Chichen Itza. And actually, you sent me a picture here. I want to put it up
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Go
Um,
ahead, put that up.
I'm gonna put this pyramid up. I actually visited um, this temple here of Kukulkan, right?
Hmm.
The Sun Temple, and you know,
That's what they say. That's what they
yeah,
say.
that's what they say. So break this down. What are we looking at here?
Okay, what you are looking at is a relationship between the sun, moon, and the stars. So when they say it's just a temple to the sun, you know what I mean? They're,
Right.
they're causing division just within that itself.
Yeah, it does too much to say that.
It's showing. Okay, now when you go to school, I want you to notice something, just so you can see where certain things come from. When we go to school, high school starts at the ninth grade, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's symbolic to something. The rituals that are being practiced at school was taught by us. The rituals that we taught was learned by studying and viewing this world. When you get to the ninth phase or the ninth part of the sky, there are certain things that happen, and that's actually where the moons, so to speak, dwell at. That's where the moon levels start to really dwell at its heaviest form, and this is where babies start to come out on the ninth cycle, or what they call the ninth month, which
Oh,
is the ninth moon. You get my drift?
yeah, yeah.
So what it was something that we utilized to where, guess what we used to do there? We used to party, we used to kick it, we used to chill, but we also learned. We also took time to understand each other. We also took time to build with each other. So it was just something that we built, but we utilized it for all kinds of purposes because it was the center of our community. It was a big major center part of our community. So what we just wanted to do was rebuild the spirit of that, because a lot of people have even disconnected that culture with the culture that's 10 minutes away from me right now in what they call Illinois/Missouri, with the same structures, same understanding, same kind of temples, but no understanding of why the temple is the way it is.
Right.
You get my drift? And that particular temple does represent infinity. It represents the unlocking and unfolding of your brain. It represents the unlocking and unfolding of your mind itself. It represents the inner parts and outer parts of your body. It represents the ninth level of the sky, the seven main colors, along with the black and the white itself, making nine. You get my drift? To make
Yeah.
the phases of this space. But you also see other pyramids that go up other levels and higher, because there are worlds beyond this space level.
I didn't even,
That's where our babies come from.
you know what's crazy? I didn't even peep that this thing had 9 levels. I did
Yep,
not peep that shit.
yep. And there's some that got 12 levels, there's some that got 13, there's some that got more, some that got less. Yep. But that more so was actually this temple was more so dedicated towards the moon than the sun, which is why it represents 9 phases. And what does your woman's stomach look like when she's pregnant? A full moon.
Wow.
You get my drift?
Yeah.
So we were teaching about just this. We were learning about just this, and I like to stick on that, and that's what keeps me out of focusing on that colonized world, because we still here today. So as we talk about the ancient Mayan culture, we have to bring up the modern Mohammedan culture, because they're one and the same. And that's what we want to show people, not just through the way we speak, write, read, and understand, but even in the way we treat each other, because we see what we were capable of doing when we do so. We already have an answer. We have solutions. We want to use them.
Wow. You just
So and remember, I can go all in. Don't like everything that I'm talking about will be coming out in books for the most part, but I'm just playing my part as you are, and being sound, being there for the sound vibration, the sound doctrine, bringing it out to the forefront before it's even in book form, because we never know what may happen to us in the physical form. You know what I mean? So just at least getting it out to at least start to bridge the gap for those who are actually on a journey seeking for more. Oh yeah, the picture you just brought up with the moon phases. Yep, that's another thing it represents. Yeah. Those 9 different moon phases right there. There's 9 main moon phases, and those 9 levels are represented right within this frame that you have with those moon pictures up.
Can you expand on the moon a little bit? Like, give me some info on this. Because let me tell you something. Like with the moon just throws me off. I don't know why. Like, I feel some type of way about the moon. Now, I've heard so many different, stories and different theories about what it actually is, and stuff like that. Like, what in your, in your language, what and how you interpret it? What is the moon's purpose? Why is it there?
Okay.
What is it?
All right. No, great question. Beautiful question. It's a lot of things. Just as I said, sacred geometry, right?
Right.
So I'm gonna pick a few things to talk about. Just because, like I said, hey, we could do this forever. That's the beautiful part. What we have is forever. So we have to have something to keep us forever. Now, does the moon not look like your eyeball?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And what does your eyeball do? What sense does it have? See, the sky doesn't have a body, but it's a body of senses. The earth doesn't have senses, but it's a body without any senses. So it is one body outside of us. The only difference is, instead of the eyes being inside of your skull or your head, when you look outside, guess what? It's in reverse, right? It's on the outside of your head. You get my drift? Yeah. Everything is reversed in the spirit. So usually I ask people all the time, how many eyes do you have? They usually tell me 2. These are rituals that I use that were anciently used by us. Then I ask them, how many eyes are you using to see that you have 2 eyes? Now they have to open what? See, no spells. Now you have to see for yourself with no physical eyes how many eyes you have.
Yo, that's hard. All right, go ahead.
And I just like to equip our people, because if they really want to wake somebody up, you can get equipped right now if you're ready, right? But it's not an easy task, and there's so many different ways to hit it. But at the end of the day, that is our original ancestor. The moon and the sun is our mother and father, to sum it up for you, but not the mother and father of our human bodies, the mother and father of our whole body.
I believe that.
This is why our eyes look like the sun and the moon. This is why our eyelashes look like sun rays. This is why our fingernails all have the sun rising on it when you look towards the bottom of it, believe it or not. This is why all of us have hair sticking out, so to speak, just like grass. If you start paying attention to every single part of your body, it's sacred, it's symbolic, and it got something to do with the sun and the moon And we got more than just this world to go to. So I hope y'all ready. I
Right.
hope you don't get too used to this body, because this ain't the only body you can go in. You know, it's things that we are, that we have not been taught that we are. And I would love to deliver that, and for our children to deliver that, so we can be what we truly are moving forward versus what we think we are. Because the one main thing the moon looks like that most people do not understand is the brain.
Yeah.
The moon is the brain of this planet. The sun is the heart. The moon is the brain. This is why it looks half and half.
Uh-huh.
It looks like a quarter. It looks full, and then it looks new. That's like me coming up to you, not knowing anything about you. The moment you start telling me who you are, you start filling my moon up, son. You get my drift? And I get to take that with me wherever I go. Yeah. So we can, yeah, we don't just like to say, well, the sun and the moon is this. And no, I like to correlate what it has to do with you too, because going to the hood, brothers, if you go talk to one of them about the sun and the moon and it ain't got shit to do with them, you might not make it out that neighborhood. You
Right.
get my drift? So I'm not trying to waste nobody's time. I get people to get in honor and to get in line. And if they don't, just know that the stars ain't never been harmed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I will say.
You just
That's what I will say.
somebody just asked, Love and Dart asked, what book do you recommend so we can teach our children?
Believe it or not, me and my family searched diligently for the actual books. And the only books we found were the ones that were internally inside of us. And that's why we've been putting in that time to write all of these. In the past 4 years, we've written over like 80 books thus far, but we have at least 130 more in the making. And this is to cover all the laws that they burn. This is to cover all of the type of ways we can structure our families. This is to cover all of the different dialects and things that we can have, and choices and options. This is to cover all of the different races and what we truly are. It's going to cover exactly what a child is, what a parent is, what an adult is. It's going to cover what the sun and the moon, everything we lost, we got back. So if there were books for this already, I would never be no hater, and I would recommend them, just like I've always supported you and many other brothers and made sure I mentioned you and many other brothers as I had my light and shared my light. So if the void didn't need to be filled, we wouldn't be here. That's kind of what I say to people. So I just try to get people to just be patient and just be supportive. And that's another reason why I just was doing the lives at times, because I know that nobody wants you to just pop up out of nowhere with all of this valuable information, so to speak. And if it was so valuable, why weren't you doing anything to help people? So I was just
Right.
bringing it from the heart first, and now my heart is going into the books, which is what my family's working on. We're transcribing everything. As you know, Facebook cut our videos off. We did over 900 lectures, all of them 4 hours long. So it's a complete curriculum. It's everything our people supposedly asked for. So now we can sit back and see who's who. No more chasing people. Now we can sit back and enjoy each other and love ourselves and love our cultures, and we can just do what we need to do, and we'll see who's really for us and who's really against us. We'll be able to see, no more
Right.
guessing, no more wondering. Let's see.
Right. Now, one of the things that I noticed, shout out to all my Kemites on the feed, whatever walk of life that you went to, Nation of Islam, Hebrew Israelites. We got all different types of people on the feed right now, the Moors. Um, one of the things that I noticed about your teachings and your revelations is that it really connects with all cultures, uh, pretty much no matter what. Because
Yeah.
what, when what I was
Thought about
getting
everybody. Thought about everybody. I wanted to. Some people say they love everybody. I wanted to show it.
right, exactly. Me being a Kemite, I would listen to certain doctrines, just staying multifaceted, and I was like, well, this kind of conflicts with African spirituality and what they were thinking, and it kind of conflicts with infinite light beings. Is like it doesn't really work. So what one thing I noticed about mental magic omniverse is that I don't see where it conflicts with uh other walks of life unless you just trying to make it.
Yep. Unless you want them problems, and you don't.
Right.
So, and you don't, because
Right.
because you're gonna be arguing with books. I don't argue with people. I'm not fighting with nobody. You can't touch me. You can't
Right.
get close to me. So there's no point of even doing these type of things.
Yeah.
Let's let the information just do what it do. And that's the main thing I did want, was for something to be in the middle to actually support all of these movements, but also help all of these movements in a way to where if there's a hole there, fix it. Because if there was a hole in something from mine, I would fix it.
Uh,
You get my drift? No ego allowed, like no ego allowed. We all have egos. So as men, we need to just put them aside. As women, we need to just put them aside. And that's why we was capable of doing this, because I could have colonized my own language. But then what would I be producing? You know, I'm not trying to be known because of my understanding of the simple fact I don't even know myself. No matter how much I try to get to know me, I don't know myself because there's so much more to learn. So we
mm,
just did that to try to leave behind for others, and there's nothing to claim. It's just something to learn and take with you as you grow. And like you said, it's a way to bridge that gap to where all of these different doorways were doorways open, because these are different fragments of our ancestors and the different ideas they came up with, or shall I say came down with, because we descend here and we ascend out, as they call it. So like I said, I just wanted to fix the problem, man. When you're really tired of arguing, when you're really tired of debating, when you really want to just see people get together, you try to find something that's going to really bring them together. I didn't just want to, hey guys, can we all just get along? You know,
yeah,
and,
right,
that's not good enough. That's not good enough. So I wanted to find something, because I realized not only were we colonized, so was every other race.
right.
Not only was our language changed, so was every other race. So I realized that, okay, if I was to just get my people to be better, then we'll just colonize the whole damn planet again. But
Right.
if I get everybody together, then everybody can just have the best type of life that they want for their children, and may the best children survive, man.
That's
Like I know that I'll be leaving a better world for my child if I just tell the truth about how easy it is to be a good being, how easy it is to love, how easy it is to actually take care of each other, how much easier it is to where we can come up with all these different doors to get free and this, that, or we can all stand still and love each other. And that's the greatest freedom we ever had. And you'll notice these things just fall off, and we'll recognize that we only have to do all of these extra things because of the simple things we lack to do.
mm,
It's because of these simple things we don't want to do that creates all of these million other things that everybody thinks, oh, I'm gonna do this and this makes me separate. I'm gonna do this and this makes me separate. I'm gonna
right,
do this and this. Separate from what?
right, right,
Separate for what and from what? This is
right.
all we have for now. I want to enjoy it, and I'm going to, and nobody's going to stop us. So I wanted to make sure that those who could not, because you got to remember, I know a lot of grown folks that cannot read or write. Instead of me laughing at them, I chose to use my brain to create a language that they could read and write and teach others to read and write.
Mm,
You see, instead of me coming at them and putting them down, they can't say I didn't lift them up. Instead of me telling them, oh, you're stupid, you can't spell, I told you the truth. They can't spell.
yeah,
Instead of me allowing the people who got degrees and false ideas of degrees, and I respect degrees when it comes to a level of surgery, when it comes to trade schools, certain things, because these are our ancestors' works. But I don't need to go to school to get a degree to learn how to read a language. I don't need to go
right,
to school to get a degree to learn how to do something simple like love, to learn how to do something simple like what they call psychology. These things are jokes in a way,
yeah,
because they're not paying attention to what's going on. In a simple conversation with someone like you and I can heal way more than a whole meeting with a psychologist, is what we like to call it in our culture. Not no disrespect to those who did take the time to get the degree. I
right,
just I just know that there's more to it, and people have thought. And if you never used your degree against people, fine. I'm not talking to you. This is for all of the people who thought they were smarter than people. This is for. It's not even about me. This is not personal, because I could take it. I could take all the shit somebody talked. I took 4 years being a class clown, knowing damn well I'm smart, but I didn't care about what they were talking about. But who
right.
cared about that part? You get my drift? Who
Yeah,
cared about that part? And the same with us. I wanted to help people understand you are not intelligent, once again, based off another man's knowledge. You are
right,
intelligent based off the fact that you are capable of receiving knowledge. And
right.
I wanted people to receive knowledge, whether they went to a school or whether the school came to them. I just wanted to get the colonizers out the way. And I realized I couldn't do it in a physical form because we're not together like that right now.
Right.
But I understood that we still got a spirit and a power that, is kind of unmatched when used properly.
Now you said something fly. You said, I really don't know myself, and there are times when, you know, I'll go back. Somebody will send me a video of myself from like maybe a year, and I watched the video and I'm like, damn, like I said that shit. Like,
Yeah,
um,
I know what you mean. Look, I don't remember nothing I said.
yeah,
I
but
don't be remembering nothing.
yeah, like sometimes I feel like it's not even me. Like it's a whole nother
It is. It is. It
entity that,
is.
yeah,
Yep. It
and
is.
I could contradict myself in life because I look at some of the stuff that I'll even teach, and uh, and I feel like somebody else said that shit. You know, so
Mm-hmm.
you ever feel like that? Has that ever happened to you where
Now,
you go back and be like,
it's. I wouldn't say it's a feeling. Uh, it's actually a reality. You know, I learned to intentionally do that. You get my drift?
right,
I felt like who is so when people try to, put Frank down, they don't know that I used to already be the most depressed person you could ever meet. When people try to talk about Frank, so to speak, they already don't know I already have beaten myself up more than anybody here can beat me up. So this type of stuff that Facebook and social media gives is actually like bird poop compared to what I've taken.
right,
Uh Literally, when it comes to certain things, I learned to snap out of trying to be something and I just allow what was to be. And
yeah,
I felt like Frank has nothing to say to nobody, but this being inside of me does. Because to me, all these damn years, it keeps showing me stuff. I keep feeling stuff, and I'm thinking everybody's getting the same feelings and everybody's getting the same visions and hearing. Uh, which is why I just kind of stay silent for so long. You know, you try to make excuses. You know what I mean? You're trying to run away from your purpose. You try to hide from your purpose. I don't like cameras. I don't like talking. I don't. It's a lot of things I don't like, but that's exactly why it was a challenge. You know, to do something you don't like,
yeah,
literally.
yeah,
Not to be as a child. So I learned to turn it on and off whenever I wanted to where that is like, prime example. This is how I explain this, so you understand what I mean by this. When I speak as Frank, I'm speaking as someone who has made connections in this world, in this time,
uh-huh,
in this generation. You get my drift?
right,
That's why I'm talking a certain way. When I speak as that other being, that being don't know nobody here. It don't give a damn about nothing nobody here talking about. That's something else speaking. And I like to let that in because that being only comes in through us.
yeah,
It only
yeah,
comes in through us. It
yes,
only it can't come through a book. So even though we're writing all these books, I'm writing all them books only to tell you, guess what? It can't come through a book. It can only come to you.
right,
See what
right,
I you know what I
right,
mean? But it takes all of these books to break that down because it took all of these books to build up the mind that we're up against right now, which is destroying us.
yeah.
Literally. So I just want to get people back to where I don't care what you do with your life. I just don't want you to miss the experience of what you call this body.
Now,
It's amazing.
why do you think that being that other entity in Kemet we call it the Kai, like the information that we all share that we all tap into? Why do you think that being has an issue with the actual vessel that it uses to interpret itself? It seems to be a conflict there uh, with that being. So, like, if I was to tell somebody, something that how you said that being doesn't care. It doesn't care about who you are. Just has the information. Why does the vessel seem to not want to obtain that information or push that information away? It seems.
No, what's happening is this. This body has a relationship with the earth. You know what I mean? The reason why that being does not deal with the body as such is because it knows the body is taken care of. As soon as you get cut, it starts healing. You know, it can't get damaged none whatsoever. So what it's
Mhm.
trying to get to is your soul. Your body actually works properly. You've been boo-booing all your life. You've been, number one, number two, I'll say that much. You've been number oneing and number twoing all your life. You've been going to sleep, you've been waking up. There's not an issue with our body. It's trying to keep us from getting too attached to this because this is not us. It
Right,
doesn't want us to fall to the idea that this is us because it knows what we are capable of doing when we do so,
right,
you know?
right, right.
So,
I
uh,
believe that.
Yeah, like you know, and I use this analogy all the time, you know, to help people understand that they're not in the body. You know, so many people think they have to get out, so many people think they have to get in. No, you just have to learn about what the body is, because like I said, if you were inside this body, you would smell your poop before it comes out in the air. So
Right.
you must be out in the air somewhere, you know. If you were truly in your body, you would smell all of the guts and everything going on in you right now. You know, if you were truly, you know, if you were true, we know our bodies don't smell like what it smell like. So what is it blocking that smell? You know, to where
Yeah.
we don't smell a poop until it's outside of this body, because we're not inside this body. We are outside of this body. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Which is why we're always thinking about it. We're always fantasizing about it. We're always picturing what this body can do. And no,
Yeah.
you're supposed to be picturing what you can do with the body.
With the body. Yeah. And you know, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. If anybody's ever played basketball, what he's saying right now will make you a better shooter. If
Yes,
you
bingo. It may be a better look. I'm
can,
glad you just brought that up. Listen,
yeah,
I played football for 13 years, right? Nobody never taught me football, but I was one of the better players just by using this spirit. And I didn't know what a 4-3 was. I used to run kickoffs and punts back the other way, and everybody would laugh, and I played it off like, you know, just you know the little insecure, you know, yeah, you know, I play like I know, nigga, like yeah, y'all know I'm just fucking, you know, but really in my mind, I'm like, I really didn't even know. You know, sometimes it would take time for this shit to hit me. Like, why was everybody just laughing? You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like, what the hell did I just do so wrong? You know, like, no, but nobody out of all of these coaches, I would say, like I said, the coaches that resembled me the most, of course, at least tried to reach me. You know what I mean? To where I could say that they didn't teach me football, but they did teach me a little bit of life. They didn't
uh-huh.
let me leave without getting my ass knocked down a few times. So I know what it's like to win and lose. You get what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
right.
I'm not butthurt when it come to those type of things. I didn't have to be challenged all out throughout it. I passed every challenge I needed to. So it was a matter of I just followed the ball. You know, I
Yeah,
don't, why do I need to know the play? If you come over here, I'm getting you. If you go over there, I'm getting you. If you go over there, I'm getting you. If you stay
yeah,
right there, I'm getting you. The whole point is I'm getting you.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
all I thought. You know, we play Killer Man in the street. We need rules. You know what I
yeah,
mean? We throw the ball up in the
yeah.
air. Whoever catch it, you know, and I was one of the ones jumping,
Oh,
trying to, you know, a little off, as they say, you know, but I wanted to experience what this body could do, because as
yeah,
I'm running, I never felt like I was running as fast as other people that was watching me. As I was talking, I never felt like I talked as good as someone listening to me. As I loved, I never felt like I loved as good as someone that was receiving that. So I understood how important it was to have something external from yourself that is still internal to self for us to experience each other,
uh-huh.
which is why this purpose is alive, because we're
Wow.
already eternal. We don't come down here to be eternal. We actually come down here to kick it. We don't come
Right,
down here to be eternal. We actually come
right,
down here to do exactly what we doing right now. Party, party, you know? You know, we
right,
don't come down here to try to be perfect. We already perfect. We come down here to get a little dirty. If you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? A little dirty, but it's a clean way of doing that. It's a natural way of doing these things. So we want to unleash our brothers and sisters, but we want to make sure that the right spirit is in them before we unleash them, because it will be like unleashing a bunch of wild bulls with a bunch of children around. You know, it's dangerous. So that's
This,
why, you know, a lot of people saw me calm down, man. I started talking, got a visitor too. The moon is here for those that are unaware, you know, just that, you know,
talk about it.
I just like to welcome them whenever they come. You know what I'm saying? Just like if you came in, it's like, hey, what's up, bro? You know, hey, they here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That coincides with like, we embrace the energies around us, the forces of the universe, the sun, the moon, and stars. We almost look at them like you said, like they are ancestors and they are relatives and stuff like that. um and one of the 42 laws of Ma'at is embrace the all. You talked a little bit
Hmm.
about that too, just embracing everything. And and I think that's why what you're doing is just really special. It's just brilliant. um Nathaniel Phillip asked, what do you know about self-generate electricity using the energy of the sun?
Hmm. I know all about that. Got 900 lectures doing that.
And I'm in the solar energy business, so yeah,
Yeah. Now
yeah,
I
we
know
can talk.
not to reveal too much to Facebook, but I know all about that. We know how to use the sun. We know how to, if a lot of people are not aware, the sky is closer now than it was, 3, 4 years ago. And I want people to understand that there's a reason for that. Everything is not by coincidence. If you build a relationship with someone, if I call you and I got into something, you would come, right? You get my drift? If
Right.
I was to build a relationship with the dog and I told it come here, regardless of what I said to it, it knows the body language and our way of communication, it will come. We don't know that the same way that we could do that with a dog or a human, we could do that with the sun and the moon. So, I've been practicing and just, instead of thinking my ancestors called on lightning and water and this and that, I actually tried it. And it worked.
Yeah,
It
it
worked,
does.
G. Like stars is more active, is more stars up in the sky. They're more moving a lot more. Like I said, the moons and man, this can't even explain it really. Just trying to really take it all in because, like I said, it wasn't nothing that it was something that I knew prior to this generation, but coming into this generation, I didn't know. I learned it and know it now through learning and experiencing it, though. You get what I'm saying? So that's like an arch. It kind of creates like the arch where you come into this generation, you don't really know nothing, kind of stop, then you go up, no, come back down the hill. Now you keep going forward how you already started.
Yeah,
You know
like
what
a
I mean?
wave.
With knowledge, because we already know this. The thing is, they recoded everything in their colonized language so they can sound smart. That's how they
Right.
intercept us. You get what
Facts.
I'm saying? That's exactly how they intercept us to where it's easy for me to I can have a normal conversation with you without using any of their super galactical words, any of their interdimensional words or any of their
Mhm.
bada bing, bada boom. I don't even know that type of stuff. So when people equate that to intelligence, I even laugh there because it's like, I don't know them type of words, but I know over 1,000 different languages. You see,
Yeah,
and some people don't think that that's capable of even being possible because, there's not even technically 1,000 languages in this world right now. But I didn't say I learned all of them from here. I didn't say all of the languages were here,
yeah, yeah.
So that's
Now
all.
you sent me a couple of photos here, and I want you to
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about it.
Let's bring them
Yeah,
up.
yeah. So just so y'all know, we just warming up. Like we really about to go in right now.
Bring
So,
them up.
um, yeah, talk about it. So I want to talk about this one first. I've seen this before, and I want you to break this down for me.
Mm. I love that you just brought that up, man. Use a genius. Use a pure, use a, hey, use a genius. So I just showed you this, right? Remember the moon? I don't know if you can really see it. Trying to make sure it's in there. Can you see it? I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? It's kind of hard to
Move,
see it,
move in
but
the other direction a little bit. Oh yeah, I see it. It's over the top right there. Over that.
okay. Yep. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Now give you that image because that's what I want you to make a relationship with. Do you notice her black clothing?
absolutely. Yeah.
That represents this black sky. What looks like a black sky is really a raven color. It's kind of a purplish. Do you notice the white holes in her clothing?
Yes.
That represents the actual stars that you see in the nighttime sky right at this particular moment because they are different shapes and certain ones are open and certain ones are closed. Do you notice the white painting on her knees and her breast in the front of her face?
Facts.
That's the actual white part of the front of the moon, literally as she sits in the cusp of space as they travel towards the right brain. That's why she's holding the bunny rabbit. Just like if you really look deep into the moon right now, it's going to look like she is holding a bunny rabbit. And you see the ankh right behind her, but it's more so bent downward because the space or the sky is not all the way open. It represents an opening of the sky itself. So you see a closing and you see an opening, kind of like night falling, night rising. So that's another depiction of the moon. The imagery that you see above her, where the different phases is showing you where all of this is going.
Yeah.
Literally, it shows you where certain things take you. Like, prime example, if you keep shaking a person's hand and saying the right things to them, they might become your friend. So like a ritual like that, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, not to get, excuse me, not to get too deep into it, because the one thing I do want to do is keep a lot of our things sacred and to us and get it to us first. Then we'll get it out to everybody. But for the sake of just being able to view that, and just so you know, you see the brown sea in front of her and behind her,
Uh-huh.
and then you see her brown skin.
Yep.
That represents the dirt of Mother Earth. So that's how I prove that the Earth is a moon.
Oh.
That's how I prove it, that Earth is a moon and that we all land on the moon. And that's why our ancestors have so many imagery where they're sitting or standing inside of moons or ships, which are half moons or quarter moons, so to speak. The ship only represents a quarter moon, you see, which is a quarter mind. The moon represents the mind, which is why it looks like the brain.
See
Starting
the
to see it?
yeah the amazing. I mean, I saw it right off the bat. As soon as you
Yeah,
explained that
see,
part,
it's sense.
everything
It's
else,
sense.
because like, I mean, when you metal nature and you can understand hieroglyphs, once you tell me what one part of it is, everything else starts to
It
line
just
up and you
starts coming to
figure out the
life.
rest. Yeah.
Yes.
So this is what's amazing about this, because this language is one and the same as the Medu Neter, and the hieroglyphs is just a different way that they expressed it depending on how they saw it. So you can
Hmm.
fully understand it if you get one
Hmm.
of them. You can get them all, and this is what's
Hmm.
amazing about how you interpret it, because like you said, like sometimes people they kind of take ownership of it a little bit, and they try
Yeah.
to keep it for themselves, and they don't express it the way that the universal law of it that we all can interpret. Like, this is the truth right here, because you can see the unk clearly right there with the broken stems on there.
Hmm.
And Kemet, that meant several things, but I've learned that the unk, I have interpreted the unk as the unk being representing the horizon. See, like, let me show you this. Quick, hold on. Um, many of the skies interpret the unk just in one way of the the phallus of male, and then this part will represent the womb, and the female the children. But you know, uh, in the last like year or two, I've seen it be represented as more of the cosmos than it is a physical
Hmm.
thing.
It is.
Um,
It is.
yeah, so this would be the horizon right here going across, and then this would be the sun as it moves over the horizon. That's why I put my sun here, my amber, because that's the sun, and all of this right here would be the actual sun, and then this would be the rays of the sun reflecting on the water. So, like, when you interpreted it just now, you just represented the Ankh as it being a part of the sky, and that makes perfect sense. If you want to
Hmm.
interpret the rest of this too, it
That's
would
what its
all
original. That's what its original usage was about. It
absolutely
because we come from the making of day and night. We come from and midnight and midday. We come from the making of these things. So, it does also represent on a physical level our physical bodies, but our physical bodies came from something that's not a physical body. So it's
right.
indicative, so to speak, to all levels. And in our culture, we call that the Vanarfe, but we understand you all call it the Ankh. And for us, it just represents sound, frequency, and vibration, the inner being which is inside of you, which is representing your brain, your spine, and the heart being within the middle, interpreting all of these different senses, literally, and being
Yeah,
able to use it to show. And that's something I did want to bring to y'all too, which was just more knowledge even about that to show, we all use different parts of the brain literally to decode and decipher what these things mean, and we didn't need no outside influence. We didn't need none of these type of things, and I guarantee that what I bring to you will make sense just as what you brought to me made sense. And it's not that it's never going to be wrong. It's going to be, okay, this puzzle piece goes here, this puzzle piece goes here.
yeah, because they all connect. Like, when I went to Chichen Itza, the part that really struck me was when they told me that these pyramids line up with the ones in Africa, and I
Mhm.
said, "Well, how? We on the other side of the world. Like, how can this possibly line up with Africa?" And I became obsessed with that. That's what actually got me on my journey, was trying to figure out how these pyramids connect. And then when I realized that they
Mhm.
actually did, I said, "Well, there has to be some universal language that these two people spoke." You can't tell me that the Egyptians spoke Egyptian and the Mayans spoke Mayan. It had to be a
Yeah, we all
connection.
spoke the same language. We all spoke
We
the
all
same
spoke the
language.
same language.
Yeah.
So it's like, the way that you interpret it, it's the right way. It's clearly the right way, because they couldn't have done it any type of way, any other
No.
way. How are you going to link up
Right.
pyramids around the world and you can't talk to each other? Like, that don't even make sense. You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
We couldn't even pass
Basically.
You know, we can't even play a game of telephone with 10 people, let alone somebody all the way on the side of the world with hundreds of thousands of people and stuff like that over a 20-year period. It takes 20 years to build these pyramids. So how does that happen if you can't talk to one another? It's like, it doesn't even make sense. You know, so yeah, you're right on the ball with that, man. You're right on the money with it. And you know, we need this right now. But we got another one here.
Okay.
Let's talk about
Beautiful.
because this looks like the interior of what we had in our temples and stuff like that.
Yep.
What is this?
What's
And
going
it's
on
black.
right now? I want you to see the bottom level. You see where the sky is like a bluish color.
Mhm.
Remember, this temple was repainted just as a lot of the other things was repainted. So we're redoing a lot of things ourselves too, just to redo our own works. But some things we're letting stand as is, and we'll just tell the truth about what happened to it. So whoever has something to do with it, will just, you know, they'll face their own guilt for lying.
Right.
It's simple. There's different levels to this world, particularly, you know, because we are beings that are accustomed to multiple different worlds. So when we got here, we just wanted to explain what this world was about. So that blue level sky actually represents this purple level sky that we see right now. It's a bluish, purplish, so to speak. It looks black, but it's really blue. And you see how that world is under the upper level, and you see them celebrating during the night, literally in the lower world.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the upper level, you actually see that the background is orange. For people that might not understand why the background is actually orange, because they'll say, but the daytime sky is blue. No, that's actually the nighttime sky that you see that's blue. The actual daytime sky is orange if you close your two eyelids and look with your what? One eye with the sun.
Oh shit.
Notice the sun will burn your physical eyes, but it enhances your spiritual eye. So things you can't see with your eyelids open, you can with your eyelids closed. So it,
Ooh.
yeah. So we all know that it's completely black for each and every last one of us, regardless of what our physical skin complexion represented. And that's why our ancestors at a point in time had so many black structures, not necessarily representing our skin, but actually that dark part of us that we have when we close our eyelids, which is in the center of our pupil, because that's omniversal. You see, all of us have that. This is not something that the creator left out of this person or that person, or no, we all have this. So we all have this connection, so to speak, to this being. So when you actually close your eyelids and you face the sun and you look at the sun, you'll notice a whole different world. You'll notice different colors lighting up. And our ancestors were the greatest at expressing that in their arts, just as we are learning how to express it now through our daily living, our arts, our way of speaking, our language, and everything else. We're just basically coming back to life, coming back up, rising again. And there's some part you can't see on this, which is a higher level where it's sky blue, and you'll see some creatures within that. Just going
Yeah,
to
little,
show that
yeah,
there are creatures. Can you hear me?
yeah.
Okay. Now, just going to show that there are creatures above this world. So as you see that moon looking at me, just know that there's someone that has my back. Just know that there's someone that can see you. You know, just know that that's my backup. Just know that that's a living being. You know, I've never seen a
Yeah.
not living being with an eyeball. You get my drift?
Right.
So
Right.
it was representing these different levels and being able to express it, because as you come in there in the mid level, for those that don't know, that's like midday and midnight. That's why it looks white on one side to the left, but then it looks orange on the other side, so to speak. So
Wow.
you're actually seeing it, because you'll start to see a blend within the sky during the day once it starts to shift to where it might be sky blue the whole day, believe it or not. But as soon as it starts going to midday and midnight, or I won't say midday and midnight, as soon as the sun start rising or sun starts setting, or shall I say sky rise or sky set, you'll start to notice the orange in the sky. You'll start to notice the red in the sky, even if you don't close your eyelids. So now I use images like this to challenge their false space programs, to ask you, why does all their space pictures just have nothing but black skies? But our creator clearly shows us sky blue skies. It shows us purple skies. It shows us red skies. It shows us orange skies. Why do we think space just looks black,
Facts.
you know, instead of all colors?
So let me ask you a question about this is the Mayan civilization that created this.
We call it Mohammedan. We just moving forward, because remember,
Right. Wow.
Mayan
Okay.
was created by them. So just to re-implement it and bridge everybody's mind together, because I know once I started learning about my culture and there was no division, I
Yeah.
instantly became a better me because I was already that. So
Yes.
that's another reason why I did that, because instead of me saying I'm a descendant of Olmecs, Mayans, Aztecs, Egyptians, Chinese, this,
Yeah.
that,
You know,
I'm a Mormon. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm just a Mormon. You know, so
yeah.
no, they what was the question again?
So now the people that created this,
Hmm.
uh, modern day scientists and what we call Tom who or white scientists or whatever the way they interpret it, they would say that these people like just disappeared off the face of the earth. Like, where are they? Like, where did these people go? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
as you know what I'm saying? Because all the ones that we just named, the Aztecs, Mayans, Moors, and Mayan, where are they?
Uh-huh. Well, the question is not where are the Moamians or where are the Mayans. The question is where are the people that saw 'em? You see, there's a lot of blind people here. We're still right here. So the
Right.
Mayans didn't go anywhere. The vision of other people did. So we've been secretly just living here this whole entire time, and there's others who are still trying to get here. And although they have a body, that doesn't mean they can actually get in. There's secrets that people don't understand about this planet that we understand and that we can unlock that others cannot unlock. And only we can lock the doors and only we can unlock the doors. And that's a power we have.
Mhm. I believe that.
So
I
we've
believe.
been
I
here,
believe, I believe
the
that we're
people.
still here. Yeah.
Yeah, the people can't see. So yes, a lot of people disappeared, but it wasn't the Mayans or the Moamians. We just moved farther up north. Some of us went to what they call Africa. Some of us went to what they call Europe. Some of us went to what they call China. But this is something that has always taken place. So I do like to bridge the gap of even those ancient cultures with cultures that are even ancient to those cultures.
Right. Right.
Because those perfect pyramids didn't come from accident. It
Right.
came from people who tried a lot of times, and we finally got it right. And what we're watching is the perfection. We're not looking at the destruction. And that's one thing that a lot of people like to do when it comes to looking at us. They like to judge us based off of our perfection. Oh, he has this. Oh, he has that. Oh, she has this. Oh, she has
Yeah.
that. But it's not
Yeah.
based off the perfection. Is based off the darkness. What did we really go through to get there? Like, how hard was it? Do people really understand how many cities we have underground, how many fallen pyramids we have, how many
Right.
fallen civilizations we've had long before that? And why are we only talking about the civilizations we have in this planet? We civilize multiple planets,
That's right. That's right.
and the knowledge that we more so brought, it wasn't that we brought knowledge, we brought vision, we brought hearing, we brought feeling to the planet. Remember, I told you earlier, the planet is just a body, it's nothing without the senses. We had to come to bring the senses to the planet.
Right.
And we came to bring the sense because there was a point in time where we were nothing but just sitting around like monkeys. I don't think
Yeah.
people understand that. There was a time where, there's a bridge that had to be gapped, so to speak, because we were a little different from every other creature here by default of what type of creature we are.
Yeah. What we were capable of being.
Yeah, so it had to be some type of lines drawn because, as you can see, we're the only creature that's crazy enough to get out of hand, and we can kill every other creature, but the alligator doesn't have that power.
Right.
You'll never have to worry about going outside and seeing 30 alligators in your front yard all around the world.
I'm gonna take.
But when it come to people, oh, we can. Oh, hey,
Yeah.
this is a dangerous species.
Yeah. So it tells you something about us. If we could step outside of nature, uh, and alter it, even we can move plants and
Yep, we can.
a whole nother part of the country or a whole nother continent and crossbreed them with other shit and create new things that we've never even seen. So it's like human beings definitely are remarkable creatures compared to everything that's out here. But at the same time, not too remarkable to the point where we can't be snuffed out by one of these things. You know what I'm saying? It's like, a goddamn lion chase after you could kill your ass, like straight up. Like, so it's like the balance of the system is
Yeah, it's
efficient.
beautiful. It's
Yeah, it's
beautiful. It's fair.
beautiful.
It's
Yeah.
fair. It's the creator made it fair. Listen, I look at everything going on today, man, and I love it.
Yeah.
The good, the bad,
Yeah.
it's all good. The light, the dark, it's all good. The ugly, the pretty, it's all good. You know, it's just it's not about whether what I'm looking at is beautiful or not. Is my vision beautiful? Is
Yeah.
the fact that I seeing clearly is beautiful vision for those that are not aware. Hearing you clearly is beautiful hearing. Not trying to hear you say something super great or super this, but the fact that I can hear you and being grateful of the fact that I can hear, because I know that before I had this body, I didn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It That's enough for me. You know, some of us get satisfied off the natural things still. We still get a ride off of that. You know, it's kind of like prime example for people who think I might be weird or think that's weird to say. Imagine someone that you always wanted to speak to you, speaking to you, and what that did to that internal you. Even if you try to play cool on the outside, like, oh, hey, what's up? You get
Yeah.
my drift? It's
Yeah.
not that I don't care about that being. You know,
Yeah.
I care about that being on the inside. And when this being spoke to me, I shut my ass up and listen, and I treat everybody else with that same respect. When this being came to show me something, I sat my ass down and I watched. When this being came to feel me, I felt back. When this being wanted to experience with me, I experienced back. And I now share that relationship with other people, and it helps me build relationships with other people.
Yeah.
Because the relationship I need to build is not necessarily with me. I'm not going to always be here. It's with
Right.
something that's going to always be here, though.
Something greater, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, babe, that let me hold this for a little minute.
Yeah.
It let me hold something, G. It's my little, it's the plug,
Yeah.
it's
I
my plug, can't
kinda
tell
look at it
nobody.
like it's a race. You know, if you ever been on track, it's like what leg of the race are you in? Like recognize
Hmm.
what leg of the race are you in, and it's not that that person might be faster than you. It's like they just have a responsibility for their leg of the race, kind of like, uh,
Bingo.
you know what I'm saying? And you got to make sure that you don't drop the baton when you passing it.
Yeah,
Don't think so highly of yourself because you're not gonna finish this race. It's something else coming behind you, and you got to pass that baton.
yeah,
Make sure you do your due diligence for your 200 meters, and then that person that does that final leg, they might be, have the quickest 200 meters. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't uh de what's the word? It doesn't devalue your role in the race. You see what I'm saying? So
and you know what I love about that? Uh, you know, a lot of us are trying to get known in a world where we'll never be known. No one even knows where we're at. That's why you can make some shit up. You
yeah,
see, that's why I'd rather just define what's really going on versus telling, well, we're here, we're everywhere. Uh, I want for people to understand that, it's more important. Your team is more important than winning a race.
yeah,
Winning a race, you can win a whole new team of people that's just gonna love you just because you won the race. You get my drift?
uh-huh.
They only love you because you winners.
Only because you're a winner. That's a fact.
Yeah, but it's certain people who can go back to a team to where even if we lose, the
Yeah,
team gonna love you
die
because you're
hard.
just a winner. You see what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah. So we come from worlds of that nature to where even if nobody knows us here, it was not about us being known here. We were known where we're from. That's why we get called back. Have you ever got called back unless you did a good job? Yeah, yeah,
mm,
yeah.
mm,
You'll never be known here. That's why I made up so many names. I'll never be none of them.
mm. This guy is dropping so many gems right now.
I don't want to be a name. I just want to be. You know.
All right,
And
so
just because I know your name don't mean I know you. Knowing your spirit is how I know you.
let's talk about this image that you sent me earlier. We were talking about uh the Christ, and
Uh,
um
Let everybody see it. Whip it out.
yeah,
Go ahead and whip it out. For anybody that never saw the Mohammedan version of Christ, for anybody that never saw Christ before it was what they would call a European or Caucasian man, for anybody that never saw Christ before 200,000 or 2,000 years ago, as they say, for anybody that has never actually saw an image of Christ outside of what people are pushing today, he's going to bring up the exact first ever image of Christ, the first ever image of Christ, and you will see this was our culture, our culture and they changed the spelling and the images. So we didn't have to necessarily change the images. We still look the same. We had to change the spelling back because we interpret everything. So I want you to show them Christ walking and his feet being nailed to the cross, as they say in the Bible. So you'll see how to hieroglyphically read the Bible and understand where the Bible truly came from. So as we rise and we learn these things all over, everybody just needs to know everybody's in place. Okay. We all didn't. It's whip it out, G.
So
You
I'm,
can
I'm,
whip it out.
I'm gonna give him. I'm gonna give him the
Oh,
first tier before I give him
oh,
the second tier. Is that all right?
okay, okay, okay,
So stay with us,
okay.
family. This
You
is the
know, so
first.
for all Christians,
Yeah.
it's not that we dislike you.
Right.
We know something you don't. And
Yeah.
you're supposed to be learning about what Christianity is truly about in the history of Christianity, not just Jesus.
Yeah.
You're supposed to learn about the history of your God, not just your God. You're supposed to learn how the name developed, not just why I say there's power in the name. You're supposed to know why your church operates the way it does and why you have no say so, but the government has all say so. And I'm not coming at none of the people in the church. I'm coming at the church in the people.
Oh, this guy's ridiculous. All right. Y'all ready? I'm dropping this information.
Oh, man. Say it ain't so. Oh, say it ain't so. And it's not a human at all. Say it ain't so.
Oh,
They not only took our ancestors' works, but they made it into a man. Notice how his skin is a greenish, bluish color. Why? Because it represents the night sky, just as the one you brought up earlier. The cross represents the daytime sky and the nighttime sky crossing at midday or midnight. Christ actually is a representation of the moon, not the sun. They flipped everything on us. This image tells you all of that. And you see the saint symbol down to the left portion, showing you it's going to the left. You see him carrying his cross. You see his fingers pointing, just like the Lucifer. They have their Lucifer and Jesus pictures pointing. You see his feet nailed on each point of the cross. You see him bent a certain way, which represents him rising. As you see the moon rising right now, the moon can sit in the sky for 3 days. The sun has never set in the sky for 3 days. Never, and it never will. But the moon has sat in the sky for 3 days, and they took it down off the cross, off the sky, off the story is truly so symbolic. And as I said, we teach it in private. We got books coming out, but that's just a preview, man. I don't, all the little pearls that you see around them represent every star within the actual sky itself that is carrying with it itself. Believe it or not, you see the face actually facing more so back to the left side, but looking from the right side, showing you he's looking from his right mind and he's looking upright. You get my drift?
mm.
So it's very sacred, very symbolic, and deeper than what Christianity will ever tell you. And that's the original Christ. And we had so many different names. It has been changed so many different times, but the spirit does not change.
Mm. This is nuts. This is nuts.
And we discovered that in our ancestors' works, and this existed long before the KJV, long before the Geneva Bible, long before any Bible ever came into existence. This existed. So that's our proof of what we taught them back then and what we still teach them today.
Wow.
Never stopped.
No, I haven't had anybody bring me this glyph like ever. I haven't had anybody bring this to me. To tell
Oh
me that
man,
their version
it
of
blew my
it.
mind. It blew my mind too. I am not going to lie. It blew. I was. This is the thing, Jamal. I was never really looking for information. I was just looking for my brothers and sisters. As I found my brothers and sisters, I start finding information, and it start just coming to me. Because I stayed with my brothers and sisters, because I stayed on them day and night, because I was staying on them for 4 hours at a time, day and night. Quit my job. I stopped doing everything I needed to do because I felt like we needed this. Forget the balling right now. Forget my ego. Forget me looking a certain way, trying to portray something. Something is going on. Something is not right. And we finna get down to the bottom of it. And we end up getting to the top of it. And this is not everything, everybody. Trust me. We have something else coming that they want to keep out of it. that you don't know that they wiped out of our memory. You know, when they take this out of the books and out of the schools and out of the Bibles and out of the religions, they take this out of our memory because you know the phrase out of sight, out of mind.
Right. And I'm going to give y'all a comedic interpretation of this once we're done. I got another picture to show you, then we're gonna come back to it. Um, so I can show you how we would have saw this and how it ties into play, and hopefully we'll be able to bring it home to you. But we got to bring you the next photo, which is gonna really rock your world.
Yep.
Before
Let's meet. Let's. Oh, you finna bring the second one of that up?
should we do that, or you have something else to say about this one?
No. That's it. I seal that moon right there.
Okay, so
Let's bring up Christ's mother. Anybody ever seen Christ's mother?
let's go.
Oh, let's look at the female Christ, everybody. She was hung on a cross too.
Wow.
And you see her legs being open, and you see the skull hanging in the center of her legs. That represents the moon hanging in the center of the sky right behind me right now. So that's going on at this particular moment. So Christ is being born, as they would say. That's what a real full moon truly represents. It's not about the name. I don't want nobody getting too high up on the name.
Right.
Look at the image, the representation. She's on a cross. A woman bear the cross too, but the cross is turned like an X instead of a T, believe it or not. And they changed the coloration of it, but as you can see, they clearly eliminated women out of our history. They clearly eliminated women out of our story. They clearly eliminated women out of the Bible's text. They clearly eliminated women, even though you can clearly see in her nails or feet are nailed to the cross also. Excuse me, you see a lot of secret societies. I don't aim to say sacred, but secret societies use these symbologies and these hand gestures and these body gestures. So you know there's that they have seen these things in the dark, as they say, right?
Yeah.
So you know that's indicative, so to speak, or a representation of Christ's mother, who they claim to be Mary, and that's why they say she was born of a virgin. You don't see a man in the picture, born of the Spirit, because it has something deeper to do with our physical body, physical birth, and a physical being, and it still does. This is why ancestors have the woman representing Mother Earth, looking like the ground itself. That's why she has skin, but she has these different creatures coming out of her. Believe it or not, because Mother Earth bursts things that look like deers, which is what you see to the left. It bursts things that look like jaguars, which is what you see to the right.
Mhm.
The egg is what's coming out of her actual forehead, so to speak. That's the earth itself. The X represents the four corners of the earth itself, believe it or not. What else? And the Christ picture, the reason why he was the different colors was because he represented the actual sky. Because where are the colors at? In the sky. Where do you see the rainbow at? In the sky. You do not actually see it in the earth. It is actually attached to things that come out of the earth, through the earth, born from other planets.
Shit. This is like this. All of this stuff connects, family. Like, this is bugged out because, like, you know, people talk about it and they say, you know, how these cultures were connected and stuff like that. But it's I haven't had anybody actually bring me the comparisons to really make it.
The sources, as they say.
Sources, yeah, sources. Where's the damn sources?
I love our
And
brothers and sisters. They be hard headed
oh
sometimes. I
man, you
love
know what I'm saying?
it.
Like, if
I
they
love
see
it.
that source, baby, with that goddamn website on it, they don't even know it's true. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a whole nother paradigm shift right here. Like, you know, like so what I want to do, I want to show y'all how this connects. I'm gonna bring up a couple of photos here to show y'all how this connects with Kemet as well, so you can see that it's a family here. So let's go back to this one here, where he's representing the horizon, and you see on top of his head, this was representative of the moon, but if you see on top of his head, his headdress in Kemet, the headdress will tell you what this particular being is actually doing this thing that they made into a human, which is actually a spiritual thing because you can see he's painted a different color.
Hmm.
But if you look at the headdress, that little circle dot there, because we're on the other side of the planet, that would have actually represented the sun. On this side of the planet, it would have represented the moon. And I'm going to show you that when we look at the images of Het Haru. If you look at Het Haru, she has the same circle on the top of her head. That circle represented the sun, you see, and it was a female entity. So in Kemet, they looked at everything as the reverse because they were on the opposite side of the world, and that would be correct. Now, if you look at the, like he said, the X, uh, you mentioned that the X marks, it's kind of, it's almost like X marked the spot, representing the four corners of the world. So if you look in hieroglyphs or Medu Neter, how we actually spell Kemet or wherever you are would be Kemet, they use an X to represent how to spell Kemet. So everything locks in on this side of the planet as it did on the other side of the planet. They just interpreted it in their way, depending on the location of where they were. So it's the same language, it's the same thing. And you see the unk in the hand, everything in the image, like the other image before, where you had where the unk was behind the person. This person, this time they have the unk up here. It's the same thing. They just represented it in a different way. It's like
Right brain, left brain. One is
right,
looking to
yeah,
the
right
right, one
brain,
is
left
looking to the
brain.
left.
Yeah, you could look at it in a spiritual sense. You could look at it in a physical sense. You could look at it in any
Or
way.
right sky, left sky, because they're two different skies. They just look the same.
Right. Do y'all see that? Do y'all see that connection there? It's like it's the language of the people was one at some
Hmm.
point.
Still is. It still is. Listen, just because others have fallen out of line of that,
Right.
it still is.
Right.
It
So
still is.
our perspective is
Yeah.
what make can take us off. You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Um, and I think that that's what's important about what Frank has been doing and what his vessel has been chosen to do is to help to bring the perspective back to into oneness. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? To embrace the all and make sense of it. And not only that, uh
Together.
take it forward.
Yeah.
Take it forward to the next level to where it's like it becomes to the point where you don't have to explain it no more. It goes without saying. And I believe that that's what it was back in the day. They was at a point where you didn't even have to explain this shit from one culture to the next.
You
Whether you was
didn't.
in
You didn't.
Africa, whether you was in you know what I'm saying, in Brazil, whether you was in South America, the United States, like wherever you was at, the North Americas, it was all it went without saying. And somehow through indoctrination, through colonialism, through everything that has happened over the past, we've lost this ability. But I think I won't say we've lost it, we've forgotten that it exists.
Hmm.
And we can tap back into it, if we free ourselves, like he said, of the spells that no longer have the power. We just have to, want to
Do the
do
work.
yeah,
You gotta want to do the work.
do the
You
work.
you you learn the spells you know today, so you're going to have to learn new spells. It's just that simple. We're not going to take as much time as they did from your life, though. You learned how to. Everything we're doing today is learned behavior. So if we learn a better behavior, it's that simple.
I
You
agree.
know, it's just that simple. And I just
Nobody has
realize we
ever
just make
showed
it
me
complicated.
a female being crucified. Nobody's ever showed me a female on a cross. So
Right.
they made it seem like he's being crucified, like it's dying. But no,
Right. Right.
I even got to check myself on that from my Christian background. Like, but when you see this, this will help the people that are still thinking that to cross over this bridge. That this is not an entity being or being a human being crucified, but it's more of a spiritual sense of what's going on here. So and if you notice the cross, the way that it's represented, um, if you look at her legs and you look at, like at his legs, you can see that he has you can tell it's a male because he has the phallus going on, the thing covering the phallus, and he also has a beard. You know what I'm saying? You can tell that this is a female entity because of the breast. So if we have two of them represented on crosses. So, you got to explain that in your faith, especially when
Hmm. Hmm.
you know what I mean? You can like, you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna have to let me know what they teaching out here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
'Cause
Right.
I understand y'all want to, make Egypt evil in the book, but what about the Mayans, whatever, or the Aztecs, whatever you want to talk about? The more I can't even pronounce the shit.
Moamia. Moamia.
Moami.
Just
What about the
yeah.
Moamians? You're gonna have to talk about these people and where were they during this time and why are they representing it this way? If it ain't Jesus, what does that mean? You see what I'm saying? So, and you see the hands and feet on each
Hmm.
one, and they nailed Jesus's hands and feet allegedly to the cross. So it's like they representing all of that in these glyphs right here. So,
Yep.
where do we go with that? Where do we go with that? And in the Western Hemisphere, I'm sorry, the Eastern Hemisphere in Kemet, on each of the solstices is the only time that the sun disappears for 3 days. So when we was talking about the sun disappearing, it doesn't disappear on this side of the planet, but over there it does. So that's how we can say this right here in Egypt would have been this would have been Ra. This would have been Ra in Egypt.
Hmm.
And that would have been the rays of the sun in Egypt coming down. You see what I'm saying? Like his beard would have represented the rays of the sun going down on the horizon. You see that? Because his arms represent the horizon. So the sun would have been at the top, or on the other side, it would have been the moon. But there's a time in Egypt, and it's only on the solstice is when the sun stays still for 3 days, and you'll find it on the third day by looking at the southern crooks, and a crooks is a cross. That's how you find it in the sky. You would look in the star for the Southern Crooks, and these are actual constellations. Y'all can Google this. The Southern Crooks, and it'll show you a cross in the sky, just like this right here, with these beings on the cross. So they're all representing, trying to tell the same story, just in a different language, maybe. If it was
No, they in different. They
different
written in
language,
different languages,
yeah,
but the same spirit. Because like even what you were saying, the fact that one of the lines behind them is red, that represents the daytime sky.
right,
The white one represents the crossing of the night.
right.
So it's showing walking through the day and walking through the night on both images,
Yeah, and the one the
and it
one with the
shows them
female is
aligning
showing
and
like
opening.
it's showing like even like the afternoon because the colors is varying
Hmm.
for each part of the X.
Hmm.
So it's like one is night, the other one is almost like sunrise, then one would be like noon, and then the one would be the sunset. Like you could see that. Like
And remember, we did use it to teach about what happens in our body and within our lifetime, because this is not just a representation of the awakening or rising of the sun, moon, stars, and that. It's about us too. These are things that happen within us throughout a lifetime. So these things do apply to us. For those who are wondering, like, oh, they're just looking at something that it just looks this is this. It connects to you because it is you.
yeah, yeah. Once you
You know?
realize you are the universe, then now you can
Yes.
interpret it uh in your own self. You know,
Yep.
this is just remarkable.
And that's why we try to even get it to where if you recognize, uni does mean one.
Right.
But watch this. One is the second number in the numerical form with the way that our ancestors counted. So one actually represents division, creating two. That's why it's a line down the middle.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
You see, it actually
right.
divides us from the all, so
Right.
to speak, because this planet was a multiverse. So when you see the image that you brought up of the temples earlier, where you saw the purple or the blue layer on the bottom, then the orange layer, that's showing the different layers that this zero one world, as they call it, one world goes through. But really it's multiple worlds here, and we can prove that because it's clearly nighttime over here but daytime on the other side of the space right now
Right.
with people we connected with. So
Right.
they threw the word uni in there to cause a division.
Right.
When they knew that our ancestors were omni. What's up, G? They knew our ancestors were omni. They knew our creator was omnipresent. They knew we were omnipresent. They know our creator's omnipotent. They know that you are omnipotent, but there's something you have to tap in to be just that. Yes, as you can see, the cross built on the pyramids.
Uh-huh.
That's just what he brought up right there. So we honored these things right in these, and this is an omniversal temple. That's why it shows you kind of just going all ways. You get what I mean?
Yeah,
You can go all, it's so many different ways you could take it. It's so many different ways you can move it. It's so many different ways you could. So we were just trying to move something in new because I just realized that, like I said, it's not that we don't know. Like you said, we saying the same thing. It's the spells in a way of us.
man.
Simple because we do invoke something. And if we don't understand what we're saying, you just invoke something without knowing it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's certain words I hate to have to divide or take myself away from, but it was for the betterment of my growth. You know, I
Yeah,
really wouldn't have got to where I got to if I didn't want to let go of another man's language,
right. That's a fact.
you know,
That's
which
a
is what
fact.
everybody got to do. You know, even if you don't let go of the physical English language itself, what I mean by that is this. If someone told you when you were 5 you wasn't never gonna be shit, you gotta kind of let go of that language inside of your head if you gonna actually be something, because you'll realize the moment that you stop believing in that, you was something to begin with. You know,
Mm,
you had to let go of somebody else's language. It was someone else's language that got stored in you that was stopping you from being what you already was born as.
right. Right. This translates over. Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
actually about keeping things the same versus trying to change everything. And
Yeah,
we'll learn how hard that is once you try to get people who want attention to stop seeking attention.
yeah.
You know,
Wow.
you don't want that. That's why I got out the spotlight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I had
Like,
people. I was like, yo, Frank disappeared for a little minute. Like,
yeah, I kind of just,
I
if,
mean,
if anybody noticed, man, I caught a very big wave and I started chasing people away because it just wasn't, man, it was, I wanted to do it a different way. You know what I mean?
yeah. And
I
then
didn't, I didn't, I didn't want that.
when you came back with a whole new
Yeah,
language. Philip. I said,
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's kind of like when people jump you and then you go get your,
you go
I
get
got
your
something
home.
for their ass. Yeah, yeah, I got something for your ass.
Nigga
You
hit
know, all them hundred.
he in McDonald's and shit, sleeping, and he was in the gym every day, like
Yeah,
all of that. Like,
like I got you, I got you, I got something for your ass,
yeah,
dude.
word
Like
up.
I was trying to be nice, but it is what it is. That's my fault. I can't blame nobody.
Right.
Oh man.
All right, so we're gonna talk about just a couple more things before we wrap this up. You sent me a bunch of stuff here from your school. It looks like some things that you got going on.
Yeah,
Talk to the people. I want
just
to talk about everything that you got going on in your services and what you're providing to the family.
okay. Right now I've been recruiting and just basically building up the family to the point where, like I said, I'm not trying to be a one-man army. I really want this to be something that we embrace as a culture. So I'm trying to rehabilitate the minds of the people, which is something that we know needs to be done. So I find ways to spend time communicating with people, building with people, different techniques to help you with your vision, help you enhance your hearing, help you enhance your feelings, help you enhance your body, your mind, your brain, period. Certain things we can't mention over the internet just due to our own safety. But just know we all do the same thing our ancestors brought to the table and did. Right now, at this current moment, we're holding private courses uh, consider scripture science. Right now we're in the scripture science section where we're decoding a lot of the scriptures and going through the actual Bible and cross-referencing the older languages with the languages of today and the older Bibles of today, and really just decoding and bringing understanding of what those represent.
Hmm.
But we do cover every single thing else virtually and publicly. We do tours down at the pyramids that we brought up here. If anybody chooses to ever decide to want to visit Missouri, St. Louis, or Illinois or anything, please just reach in to us. But we hold private courses just for now, and we make enough time to where, like I said, we've been writing all of these books and just getting all of the books together, and that just it took more time than I thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was never like I had any expectations or any of that. I don't plan on it's not that we're looking to provide a service. We just want to support people, man. We want to support people. If it's something I don't know, I try to find a person to do. We just becoming a network and a family, a family of families, a group of groups, a people of people, knowledge of knowledge. We just want to try to bridge the gap. That's all we're really trying to do. If people want to support our mission, they can. If they don't, They don't have to. We're fine. You know, we were taken care of before we started. We'll be taken care of after we finish. And the same goes for everybody else.
That's right.
You know, this is just what we want to see in the world. So we know that we have to bring that in. We know that we have to move that forward. We can't ask for that. So we're just welcoming in a new world, man. Which is the original world, the original order. We do help people get their business established if that's something they're looking to do, their family established. I mean, anything you could think of. Like it's never no, you know, it's we call it mental magic omniverse for a reason because there's never no one thing that we do. We try to do whatever for our family, just as you would do whatever for your family because you love them, right?
Right.
That's what it is.
All right. Hold on.
Don't matter what it is.
Also, see here you got something for the children. It looks like.
Yeah, we've been writing. Oh, listen.
Hold on, let me get this.
So you know how elementary school bridges the gap between elementary, middle, high school, then college. Not only did we want to bridge the gap to where the children will be learning college like education coming straight out the back or coming straight out the gate, as they say, of the mind. We wanted to make it to where once something stand as truth and as truth is going to keep the people connected throughout the generations, because we want to not just be connected to us now, we want to be connected to the people that are here 100,000 years down the line. And that is possible. That is capable, believe it or not. Like we've done it before. We're doing it now, believe it or not. So what we wanted to do was create something to where it's unlike what school does, to where every 4 to 8 years, if you notice, they regenerate and shift the information that's within the actual schools to keep the parents divided from the children, you know, to where if you bring schoolwork home, you can't even help your child with the schoolwork when they should be learning the same thing you learned in school if what we learned was true 4 or 8 years ago. You know, how did truth change so fast?
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So we wanted to create something just like we did back then, to where it stands and it is what it is. And plenty of people can build from this. We're not stopping people from writing their own books. We want to make sure you write your own true experience and have a true experience, and people can really grow from that and expand from that, to where even if nobody never purchased it, guess what? You still help people. Like, we want something so powerful that even if nobody never supported it, it don't mean it's not the most powerful thing in the world. And just because somebody supports this over there doesn't mean it ever benefited us. Look at all the stupid shit we support today.
That's right.
That, you see what I mean? So I
Right.
just stand focused on that and getting people back reconnected to the other worlds. Truly, my job is to free people. My job is to get people not just out of that system, but we want to get people out of this planet. And it's possible, it's capable, and we use the same works our ancestors used. We use the same techniques, the same passion, the same everything.
Right.
You know, and we're just rebuilding it because we know we're not physical. So once I lose my body, yes, I could have sat here and shined this whole generation and got all the love, all of this, all that. No, I took a lot more time to sit back and make sure we had these books in order. So like I said, even if something happened to me, so to speak, on a physical level, no one has to worry because it wasn't the physical body, you know, it was what
Right.
was in me, and it'll be here. So, you know,
Man, that's awesome.
just
So,
had to look out for
um,
our people.
and speaking of looking out, listen, we got a lot of people. We got a lot of people on the feed right now. We got about 100 people, 101 people in the room. I want
Okay.
everybody that's in here to show my man some love. His cash app is on the bottom of the screen. Even if y'all just give $1, let my man walk away with at least $100 today because he did some work today, and he's got a lot more for y'all in store. I want y'all to check out his university, check out his website. We're gonna put that at the bottom of the screen. Hold on, let me make one a banner for that.
Okay.
Um, what's your website, brother?
Oh, you could just look up straight on Facebook. Just look up Mental Magic right on
Okay,
Facebook. Yeah. You can email us at mentalmagicomniverse@gmail.com for any serious inquiries or anything. If you're trying to find out more about the books, find out more about our courses, a consultation, a one-on-one, just need somebody to talk to. If we're free, we actually do take the time to do so. So it doesn't have to be for anything in particular, man. No, and I thank you.
I'll definitely check out my brother Frank Burrell. As you see, he's packed. His bag is heavy. He got a deep bag of knowledge, and he's tapped in. So you know what I'm saying. I want all of y'all to get familiar with him, get familiar with the whole movement, and hopefully we could have you back on the show another day.
Oh,
So,
all the time,
oh
anytime, bro.
man, like this,
Anytime. Look, the people. If the people want this, you know, I'm
yeah,
always in support, man. We here to support the people. You know what I mean? So whenever you got an opening or you just want to guest or any of that type of stuff, you want to just kick it, chop it up. Hey, you know, you can call me, reach in on and off screen. And that's all we ever needed from each other to get started and building, man. So I'm grateful.
Yeah,
I'm truly grateful. And thank you to the people too. To everybody out there. I don't even know who out there, but I know you out there. Thank you.
word. Because I'm gonna tell you, like, the way I heard Frank Burrell's name, the first time I heard his name, I think I was doing a lecture, and I had somebody had asked me. They said, "So, what do you think about Frank Burrell?" This is like when I really got into you because they said, "What do you think about Frank Burrell?" And I was like, "Yo, he's dope. He's hella dope, right?" But I hadn't at that point. I don't think I did. I watch a video at that point. I think I maybe watched one or two videos, but I didn't really dig. And then and then that's what made me dig into it because somebody had asked me at my lecture in front of like it's my first lecture ever in Dallas, and this was about I don't know who it was, whoever it was. Shout out to you because you got me tapped in. But in any case, uh, when they asked me that question, when they asked me that question, it made me curious, and then and that's what made me really delve into it. And then I was just like, "Yo, nah, he's saying some shit right now." And I was like, I gotta see what this brother is about." And I always kept your content, in the wing. You're one of my tabs on here. Sometimes I'll check you out and shit like that, And I don't mean that lightly because I don't check out a lot of people. Anybody who
No, I
knows
know what
me,
you
I'm
mean.
so busy I don't even have time to really check out a lot of people. But with you, it's always informative. It's always entertaining. It's always a spiritual connection attached to it. And you just got such a humble spirit. And I wish you the best in all that you do. You're going to do really, really big things in this universe. You already are. You're so tapped in. It's like you just can't you can't fail at what you're doing. So we want to the Lighthouse. That's my organization. We want to send our love, a much more to you and yours. And definitely, we're gonna have you on the show again, so we could talk about bigger and even more things that you got going on, and anything that you got going on. Hit me up, brother, and I extend the same courtesy to you, man, because you're official.
Man, thank you. Peace and wholeness to you, the Lighthouse. Been supporting y'all wholeheartedly with everything you got going. And I love y'all, man. This
Word.
is beautiful. It's truly beautiful.
Do I. So we're gonna fade this out and play some for y'all. Let y'all chop it
Mhm.
up in the chat room a little bit, take down this brother's information. You get it back on the screen here, and show him your love. Right. So shout out to Frank Burrell for coming through.
Wholeness. Peace to Jamar Milton for having in the whole Lighthouse, man. Y'all be easy on this night. Y'all be easy, G. Be easy. It's a lot going on.
Word.
Just vibe.
Word.